Living simply, the key to true happiness. In a small town nestled beside a gentle river, there lived a man named Nam. Nam had once been a successful office worker in the big city, with a luxurious apartment, a brand new car, and expensive suits. His life was filled with the glamour of a thriving career, but deep inside, he always felt empty. One day, after receiving a message from his mother saying she was no longer well, Nam decided to leave everything behind and return to his hometown. On his first day back, Nam stood before the old wooden house of his family, where he had grown up with simple meals and the ringing laughter of childhood. His mother, Hoa, her hair now white with age, sat on a rattan chair on the porch, smiling as she greeted him. "You're back, my child? It's been so long since I last saw your face," she said, her voice warm but tinged with fatigue. Looking at his mother, Nam's heart tightened. He realized he had missed too many precious moments, all because he had been chasing fleeting things. At first, life in the countryside made Nam restless. He wasn't used to the quiet. No honking cars, no urgent meetings, no phone ringing incessantly. But gradually he began to adjust. Each morning, he woke early to help his mother water the vegetables and weed the garden. The lush green plants and the sparkling dew on their leaves made him suddenly aware of the simple beauty of nature, something he had never noticed before. At noon, he cooked with his mother, simple meals of white rice, boiled greens, and braised fish. But they tasted better than any expensive dish he'd eaten in the city. One day, Nam decided to go fishing by the river, just like he did as a child. He took his father's old fishing rod, sat under the shade of a banyan tree, cast his line, and waited. A cool breeze blew through, carrying the scent of wild grass. In that moment, for the first time in years, Nam felt his heart lighten. No pressure, no calculations, just him and the quietly flowing river. When he pulled up a small fish, he laughed aloud, as if he had rediscovered the innocent joy of his youth. Little by little, Nam changed. He sold his expensive car and used the money to repair the wooden house for his mother, buy a few chickens, and get an old bicycle for getting around. He started keeping a journal, noting the small details of his days. The sound of birds chirping in the morning, the smell of earth after rain, or the happiness in his mother's eyes when he told a funny story. His life no longer revolved around money or prestige, but around simple, meaningful things. One afternoon, Nam reunited with Hung, a childhood friend who now worked as a carpenter in the village. Hung invited him over. Hung's house was small and modest, just a few rooms, but it radiated warmth. Hung's wife came out with their young child to greet him, while Hung proudly showed off a wooden table he'd just finished making. "I'm not rich or anything," Hung said with a laugh, "but I feel content, having food to eat and my wife and child by my side. That's happiness." Nam looked at his friend's little family and thought about his old life, always chasing distant dreams and forgetting where true happiness lay. From then on, Nam learned to let go. He discarded the suits he no longer needed, stopped constantly checking his phone, and ceased comparing himself to others. He realized that living simply freed him from invisible expectations. He began helping people in the village, fixing Uncle Two's roof, teaching the kids to read, or simply sitting and listening to an old man tell stories of the past. These acts brought no money, but they warmed his heart. Nam's mother, Hoa, also grew stronger thanks to the fresh air and her son's care. One evening, the two sat in the yard, gazing at a sky full of stars. Hoa held his hand and said, "My child, I don't need you to be rich or famous. I just want you to live happily. That's enough." Nam nodded, his eyes stinging with tears. He understood that happiness wasn't something to seek far away. It existed right here, in simple moments like this. As time passed, Nam forgot the hustle and bustle of city life. He found joy in growing vegetables, fishing, and chatting with his mother. He no longer needed flashy things to prove his worth. Once, Hung asked him, "Don't you miss that fancy life you had?" Nam smiled gently. "No. I've realized that living simply is living truly. Everything I need is right here." Nam's story spread through the small town. People began to see him differently, not with admiration for his past wealth, but for the peace he had found, which everyone secretly longed for. Nam didn't preach lofty philosophies. He simply lived quietly, savoring each passing day. And that simplicity inspired those around him. One day, Nam sat by the window, writing in his journal. Outside, his mother was watering the garden. The chickens clucked cheerfully, and golden sunlight streamed through the trees. He wrote, "Happiness isn't about having everything. It's about being content with what you have. Living simply isn't giving up. It's choosing to live fully in the present." He closed the notebook, smiled, and felt a deep sense of peace. Name's life now resembled the river in front of his house, unhurried, unassuming, but profound and enduring. He had found the key to true happiness, not in material wealth or fame, but in the simplicity of the soul, in love, and in connection with life's small wonders. The story ends here with a message that true happiness doesn't need to be complicated. By cherishing what we have and letting go of unnecessary ambitions, each of us can find peace in our own lives.